welcome to our next video on Math Magic with Jen. We're going to tackle octal and binary. So if you haven't already watched the intro to the change of base video, I definitely suggest that first, which talks about the easiest to me, which is base 5. But here we go. We're going to go into octal and binary. Okay, so base 8 is also called octal. Our goal here is to make a different number or take a number in base 8 and change it to base 10. Okay, now, as we saw in the other video, how this works is whatever your base is what you're going to put down here in our exponential expressions. So 8 to the 0, that's our 1. 8 to the first, that's our 8. And 8 to the second is 64. And if this is your first time viewing any of this, I call these coins, and we're in like the world where these are the money that is used. So you used pennies and whatever an 8-cent coin is and a 64-cent coin. Sounds weird to me, but that is what is typical and normal in this base 8 world. Okay, so instead of having 1s, 10s, and 100s, we have 1s, 8s, and 64. Okay, now, turns out that in base 8 world, you're only allowed to use the digits 0 all the way through 7. So you can never use an 8, 9, or anything bigger. I guess technically 8 and 9 are the only other digits to create a number. So if we want to write something in base 8, we could write this. That could be base 8, 277. Notice I'm not saying 277. It's hard not to say that. But here again, it's 264, 7 8s, 7 1s in base 8. You could also have, 134, sure. What you can't have, okay, is that you can't write an 8 or a 9 in there. That would not make sense. So this is bad math. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how this works. So here's our example. So this is my laminated chart, so to speak. And what students would do, what people would do is write your whatever number you're trying to convert across right underneath these coins. And then what this is asking us to do is say that we want 164 coins. So I want 164. I want no 8, so 0, and then 7 1s. And then what you're going to do is total up that 64, that 0, and 7, and that tells us what 107 base 8 is in base 10 world. That's a mouthful. Okay, so it's like we're translating from Italian to French or whatever languages you want to. So the languages we're translating between are base 8 language to base 10. By the way, for those who are extra nerdy and want to know, base 10 is also referred to in the computer world as decimal. All right, so let's try a couple. Let's see how this goes. So here for 240 base 8, I'd write 240. So I need 2 64s. Whew. All right, may take a little bit of work, but that's going to be 128. 4 8s, that's 32. And then I want 0 1s. Now, I'm a math teacher, so I'm pretty good at arithmetic. If you need to break out a calculator to do this, that's totally fine by me, but I'm just letting you know that usually my arithmetic skills are pretty good. Okay, so here, if I add 128 and 32, oh, watch me screw up now that I brag that I'm really good at arithmetic. It should be 160. So 240 base 8 is the same thing as the number 160 in our world, okay? Again, in a previous video, you saw that if we're missing digits, you always want to start with the 1. So that 3 is a 1. So I'm going to go 3 and 6, and technically we don't have anything over here under 64, okay? So we'd have no 64s. 6 8s. Let's see, 6 8s would be 48. And then 3 1s. So 48 plus 3, that's going to be 51. Okay. By the way, I'm sure you're picking up on this, but what I'm doing is instead of adding 8 6 times, I'm doing 8 times 6, okay, and 8 times 4. So this is actually a really good activity for practicing arithmetic in the classroom, if you want to. Now, we're going to talk about base 2, which is also called binary. So binary, you've probably heard it before. It's used in computers, or the computer world, I should say. What happens is that since it's base 2, the only digits you're allowed to use are 0s and 1s. So that's all you're going to see are 0s and 1s. So you can see an example down here. This is a number in binary, 1s and 0s. Okay. If you're curious, like, hey, I've heard that before, ones and zeros. It's like on and off is how it's kind of used. So anyway, we have our ones and our zeros. The only downside to the binary world is the number of coins. Because 2 to the 0 is 1, 2 to the first is 2, 2 to the second is 4. So our coin world is pretty big, okay? So rather than just having 1 or 2 or 3 coins, we're going to use these 7. Technically, you can use one more. So sometimes you'll see that 128 coin. For the K through 6 classroom, I typically just go to 64, but you could totally go to 128. That'd be fine. Okay, so how this works is exactly like the octal system, in that we would write our number under our chart. So we just have a different chart. We have all of these coins, and I'm going to write 1 1 0 1 0 1 1. Okay, now, good news. You either have the coin or you don't. So we have a 64, we have a 32, we don't have a 16. We have an 8, we don't have a 4. We have a 2, we have a 1. And then we add them together. So that multiplication I was talking about with the 8s, when you saw I had 8 times 4, right? I had 4 8s. Yeah, here you don't have any multiplication. You just either have it or you don't. You have the coin or you don't have it. So it turns out that 1 1 0 1 0 1 1 in binary is the same number as 107 in our. Okay, I'm going to try a couple on the next screen, and then I'm going to show you why this is, we care, how you can use this, where is this used in the real world, what you can do in a classroom, all that good stuff. So here we go. I have, let's see, that's 4 1s, 2 zeros, and a 1. Okay, I'm already tired. 64, 32, 16, 8, nothing, nothing, 1. Okay, you will start noticing patterns when you go to do this. So for example, if you have a 64 and a 16 that both survived, that makes 80, so that's kind of nice. If you have a 32 and an 8 that survives, that makes 40. So there are some kind of nice arithmetic that happens when you go to do this. So here, let's see, I have 80 plus 40, that's 120, one more, so this is going to be the number 120 in base 10. Okay, let's see this one. 0 1 1 0 1 0 1. Okay. 32, 16, 4, and a 1. All right. Not as cute as last time, but I do have the 16 and a 4, which is 20. Add that to 32, that's 52. One more is 53. All right, if you're bothered by the fact it didn't write in the zeros, do I need to write in the zeros? If you'd like, if that makes you feel better, then yeah, throw them in. Sure. Okay. Now, where is octal and binary used that you could share in an elementary school? Okay, so weird, but it's called ASCII. That's how we pronounce this, is ASCII. This is the standard data encoding format for communication between computers. So when I touch the keyboard, or you touch the keyboard and you type a capital A and it appears on the screen, what's happening behind the scenes is it's translating to either binary or octal or hex, or technically, I believe, could be lying, that computers are going to use binary, but there are other ways to code also that use octal, as I said, hexadecimal, which is going to be a separate video. Okay, so how it works, when I say it's standard, is that every computer across the world, they had to all agree that the capital letter A is assigned the number 65. And if you're assigned the number 65, that looks like this in binary. Okay, if you want to type the capital letter B, it's assigned the number 66. That is it in binary. So you can actually look at, if you Google ASCII tables, you can see it in hexadecimal, binary. Sometimes you'll see one giant one that has all of them listed across the board. But you will also notice that lowercase letters have different numbers and all punctuation. So like when I hit a period or I hit an exclamation point, it all has a standard number assigned to it, which is then translated into binary. Whew. Okay, so how could we make this kind of a cute, simple thing to use? Okay, so you don't have to use this one. You're welcome to use it. But what I did for my example here is that I created this worksheet. It's actually longer than this, but this is the little snapshot. And I found a little, image of an alien, and I named her Ada. By the way, Ada Lovelace is one of the founding mothers of computer science. So I snuck that little nerdiness in there. It's also the name of one of the first computer programming languages was Ada. This is Ada. She's an alien that's trying to communicate with our class. Unfortunately, she can only talk to us by using ASCII. And all I'm doing is focusing on all the capital letters, okay? Not only can she only communicate in ASCII, she can only send her responses in binary. So what happened is that she sent us, so this is just one example of a message, but I created lots. But here it's, Ada sent the following message about what she likes to do for fun. So what we would want to do is use our coin. So if you had that coin chart, so this would be a 64, a 32, a 16, an 8, and a 4, a 2, and a 1. So it looks like this is going to be the number 68, and 68 is the letter D. Okay. Now, if you're curious about how you could create your own sheet, well, you could look at an ASCII table that already has all the binary written on the side. If I go back to the previous slide, right? You could use it. By the way, they use 8 digits, so they'll have that 128. So if you want to use this, you'd either take off the first digit to use our shorter list, or you could create a chart that has the 128 and use the 0 that's at the beginning. So up to you. So you could just use that. You can also translate the other way. How it would work, so I'll do one real quick, is if you wanted to write the letter J, for example, J is the number 74. Okay, so we have to figure out, if you're not going to use that list and you want to know how do you write that in binary, how you do it, how fast can I do it without screwing up is the question. Okay, so imagine we have our coin chart, okay, as reference. All right, so what we want to do is we want to be most efficient in trying to create this. So we'd say, oh, well, can I use a 64? Heck yeah, I can. So if I use a 64, then I still have to build 10. So I've already taken care of 64 of the 74. I now need to build 10. Well, I can't use a 32, that's too big. I can't use a 16, that's too big. Can I use an 8? You betcha. Can't believe I just said that, but sure. Then over here, can I use a 4? Nope, I need a 2. So that's how you can have students, if you want to, code the other direction without using a cheat sheet of an ASCII table. So 74 here would be 1 0 0 1 0 1 0. And that is the letter J. Okay. That's it. I can't believe it went so fast. So I hope you found that lesson interesting. You're welcome to go search the internet and see other things that you could do with octal and binary. I do have a couple of older videos that have a little bit more shorter information about converting in between octal and binary. So you're welcome to check those out as well. But hopefully I got you a little bit interested in exploring this some more. So until next time, have a great day and keep on working on that math. I hope it gets easier and better.